Welcome everybody to the AA MMA show with your host Azhar and Abshir. We just started this, kind of came up with this idea a few weeks ago, and here it is, right?
Yep.
Expect commentary on fights, just talking about mixed martial arts in general, the sport, just kind of having discussions around those things and more. So without further ado, I know me and Abshir wanted to talk about UFC 251 and kind of what went down with the fight. So Abshir, you want to kick us off?
Yeah. So, as Azhar alluded to, we're gonna talk about mostly MMA fights and some of the topics around MMA. Any drama or anything like that surrounding anything to do with MMA, whether it be UFC, Bellator, but predominantly UFC. So obviously, there's nothing to talk about right now except for the big main event card that happened on Saturday, UFC 251, Kamaru Usman versus Jorge Masvidal. I felt like the first half of the fight was amazing. I mean, everything about it was amazing, especially the prelims. But I guess we could start talking about the main events, and then we'll get to the main card a little bit later. Let's talk about Paige Van Zandt coming back, making her debut. I shouldn't say debut, but she's been gone for a while, so she took a hiatus. I know she was in Dancing with the Stars, and she was with a lot of other small time, and she was up on the news about the pay and stuff like that. So she took this fight to kind of bring her back against Amanda, thinking that this was going to be an easy fight. Little did she know, first round submission.
Yeah.
This was about as embarrassing as you can get. When she walked into the cage, she looked nervous. She didn't look like she was ready to fight. She was emotional. Like, you can be emotional in the fight, but I felt like she wasn't ready. Even her kicks, even her strikes, when she was landing very softly, like she didn't know what she was doing. Once she got on the ground, it was over. I knew from the beginning that was over. What was your thoughts, Azhar?
Yeah, I mean, I actually was driving when this fight was going on, so I didn't really get to catch it. But it's interesting you said, because like I think I saw an interview where she was talking about how she's about to become a free agent, and she's on this rookie contract, and she's talking this big game like, oh, I'm gonna test the free market after that, and she was talking about how like she was getting underpaid, and that her Instagram stuff, and like you said, the Dancing with the Stars and all this stuff gets her more money than UFC. Kind of talking about another topic that is kind of related to the main card about the idea of fighter pay, but it's one thing to be like, yeah, I want to finish my contract and try something else, but to tell people like how much money you make, and you kind of keep bringing these things up, you have to show up. It's not a good look. So I know that Amanda Hebus, I think is Brazilians.
Yep.
That's how you pronounce it. Yeah, she's been on a tear from what I've heard.
So
winning
looking at her,
a few in a row. Yeah.
She's only lost one fight. She's 10-1. She's very technical from the fight that I saw. I mean, she was destined to win that fight no matter what.
Yeah.
She's an up and coming flyweight contender. I think if she gets more, the flyweight division, especially the women's flyweight division, is not really that big in the UFC. So she'll probably get a title shot. Let's take a look. Yeah, what do you think here? I'm gonna take a look at so the flyweight women's champ is Valentina Shevchenko.
Yeah.
Nobody's gonna uncrown her in the flyweight division. I don't see anybody getting anywhere close to her. Um,
Yeah.
Jessica, she defeated Jessica I a couple of times. I mean,
Yeah, I know
and
she's literally a monster. I don't think anybody's. It's gonna be a while. I think she's gonna be kind of the John Jones of that division.
yeah, I mean, the only loss she took was from Amanda Nunes, and that was obviously going against the greatest of all time. Uh,
Yeah.
so enough about Paige. I think as Dana White alluded to, I think as Dana White alluded to, she can test the waters all she wants.
Hmm.
It's funny.
Yeah.
He encouraged her.
Yeah. I mean, after a performance like that, he's like, ah, all right, go ahead, try and see what happens.
Let's move to the one that was anticipated. The women's straw, Rose
Hmm.
Namajunas and Jessica Andrade. A little background: their first fight, Rose was dominating her fight, just
Hmm.
completely dominating her. I mean, it was amazing.
Hmm.
So until I think the second round where she got caught and then slammed on her neck, and she was out after that.
Yeah. I think
I,
there's been only a handful of like slam knockouts like that. So it was pretty crazy to see
she was
something like that.
contemplating retirement because that could cause paralysis.
Yeah, falling on the neck like that,
But Rose, she's probably one of my favorite fighters to watch because she's so technically sound, especially
hmm
her boxing, her kicking, her Muay Thai. I mean, she's very technically sound. She knows how to move her feet. She had two great bouts with Joanna Jędrzejczyk
Yeah.
that she won the belt with. I mean,
hmm
that was a beautiful fight that she had with Joanna, and she clearly won those. Very technical.
Yeah, very crisp.
This fight was, this fight was. I felt like it was a good decision.
Yeah,
Andrade had one round in her. I mean, she had bombs, haymakers coming out.
yeah.
So, yeah. What are your thoughts?
No, I mean similar. Yeah, I mean she was. I think just I think Rose did a good job in general, just kind of picking her shots, picking her apart throughout the fight. Um, just kind of being the more technical boxer, kickboxer. And I think that's kind of what ultimately got her the win throughout the 3 rounds.
We're gonna talk about the future of that women's strawweight because um, that strawweight division is looking very good with Wei Lee
Oh
um,
yeah.
as the champion, and Johanna's not far back from that. So I would love to see Rose is definitely gonna fight Wei Lee, and
Yeah.
I don't know if Rose can do that one, but so let's
That's
move on.
good. Yeah, that's gonna be interesting. Yeah, well, definitely.
That one, yeah, that one. Well, I mean, we'll talk about it in depth. But that one's gonna be very interesting. I feel like that's gonna be one. Peter Yan and Jose Aldo. What are your thoughts on that one?
This was an interesting one. I'm obviously, Peter Yan has been this like silent killer, right? That's been coming up and just, destroying people along the way. I think his last fight, um, obviously he faced the vet, Uriah Faber,
Uriah Faber.
um, and just made him. He punked him, bro. He really, put a number on him, and I think, he's been getting a lot of credit, obviously, for kind of being that guy. I mean, he's won. Let's see, he's on almost 9 fight. Yeah, it looks like 9 fight winning streak, 10 fight winning streak. And
Them
this
Russians
guy, yeah, he's been
fight
these Russian guys, man. There's something in the water.
something in the water, bro. It's the mountains, bro. Uh,
Yeah, bro.
so let's talk a little bit about that specific fight. I mean, Peter Yan was supposed to fight. I don't know why he fought Jose Aldo because he was supposed to fight Marlon Moraes. and then that got canceled because of the coronavirus. And all of a sudden, Henry Cejudo retires.
Yeah.
So White thought it was a good idea to skip everybody else, you know, and put Jose Aldo in there. I think it's because of the name. Um,
Yeah.
Throughout the fight, it was a very lopsided fight. Um, Jose Aldo, I mean, he had a few leg kicks in the beginning, which is what is known for.
Mhm.
No takedowns. I mean, he didn't try any takedowns. He didn't try anything. And Purion, I mean, he was just, just absolutely destroying him with them jabs. Like those jabs were connecting every time, you know.
Yeah. Every time he tried to come in.
And then when he was on the ground, that ground and pound, he punched him so many times that Pure that he had to literally get. He was tired of punching him. Like
Yeah. It sounds like kind of like, all right, come on, man. Like
Jose Holdo was like this the whole time. He wasn't even defending himself,
literally.
and he was just getting punched like 40 times, you know, until Purian. I mean, he was like, you know, he was just punching him, punching him, punching him, and it got his hand got tired. He goes, okay, I'm gonna use the other hand, you know.
Yeah.
It was just, I mean, I saw Ben Askren comment about that. I saw John Jones comment about that. I saw Ali Abdelaziz comment about that.
Hmm.
Horrible, horrible stoppage. I mean, it was not fun. It was not fun. But
Yeah.
I think, yeah, it was not fun.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, it was definitely a 50 punches too late. You know what I mean? Or a minute too late. It's
Man, that was
a yeah. It was. Yeah, Dana White was saying in the post conference, he was like, we've got some cleaning up to do with refereeing and judging. Um,
it's hard to referee that, but it's just, you know, and that bantamweight division is full of is a killer's row. You know, you got Marlon Moraes, Aljamain Sterling, you got Cody Garbrandt, you got obviously Jose Aldo. I mean, you
mhm.
have amazing fighters down the line. You have Dominic Cruz, obviously.
Yep.
You got the Sugar Show,
Hmm.
um, Shane O'Malley. That is probably one of the most exciting divisions that I'm looking forward to in the upcoming. That's gonna be a division. That's gonna be a division where it's gonna be changing hands. I don't think anybody's gonna be able to hold that belt in that division.
Oh, 100%. I watched actually today. I was watching. UFC has these like 10-minute videos where it's like every. I don't know if they did it for all the divisions, but like for lightweight, bantamweight, and welterweight, they show all the champions of the last like 10 years or 15 years. That bantamweight division was changing hands. Like literally, one guy would beat one guy. If he done, he would lose to the next guy. It kept changing hands, and now, like you said, with Aldo, who came down from 45 in the mix, now you still have Corey Sandhagen, who, even though he lost to Aljamain in that first round, that submission, like you still have that, right? So there's a man. This division and obviously the lightweight division has a lot of killers.
Yeah, I mean, so Lokman said, when is the YouTube channel? It's gonna come soon. I mean, we want to do a live for our first show. Um, you know, try to do this, some of that, inshallah. But yeah, I think, yeah, he's commenting about the referee. The referees, I mean, it's hard to referee, I guess, because you want to give a living legend some time to recover because there've been stoppages where they were too early, you know,
Yeah,
so kind of hit and miss. But I would think after 40 punches to the face, you would want to stop that fight, you know.
100%. I mean,
The guy died, bro. Guy got,
if anything, bro, like it's actually better that you stop it earlier than later because the lasting damage, that some of this stuff can have is
yeah,
and it's
he
up to the corner too to realize like, yo, all right, we
guy
should
got
probably call it.
he
Yeah,
he would have died. I mean, he would have died in there. He would never throw in the towel, you know. Jose Aldo would.
yeah,
So
yeah,
let's
that's true.
let's move on to the next fight in that card. The most I want to say this was highway robbery. Alexandra Volkanovski against Blessed Holloway.
Hmm.
We're moving away from the blessed era. Now we're in the great era. Um, Even though both the fights were very questionable, we're still moving away from that.
Yeah.
So this was a very back and forth fight. I felt like it was very close. The judges know nothing. Um,
Hmm.
Max was getting. If you wanna, if you wanna judge the fight strictly by points, Max was getting the points. I mean, he was hitting straight line jabs, and he was advancing every time. You know,
Hmm.
these leg kicks. That Alex was doing was, I mean, it was okay. You know what I mean? But they didn't really. I felt like they didn't even hurt him. The judges have to be changed. This is just absurd.
Yeah, they in the first fight, I thought Volkanovski actually like pretty much, it
Didn't.
was clear, it was a 4-1 or 5-0. Like he really like kind of, those leg kicks had him like bruised up. Max couldn't move as well, kind of took out. Um, Max is known to be kind of quick on the feet, moving around and stuff like that, and he took that out of him. But in this fight, he did. Volkanovski also brought those same leg kicks and that same power. I think Max was able to kind of pick him apart from the outside, like use his length, um, and it was, Max really did a good job. And I think he won this 3-2. The thing is, it's like it was close enough where there's this whole concept, right? Like, oh, you have to beat the champ to be the champ or something like that. So I
Oh,
don't know. It's a weird situation to be in because now he's lost to him twice, and the first one wasn't really close. This one was really close, and a lot of people had Max winning. But do you go for the third fight, right? Like, what do you do with Max now? Um,
I,
like, what situation does that put him in?
so in the press conference he alluded it a little bit. He goes, you know, once Max is still a competitor, is very young. After he gets a couple of wins in his belt, then we can run it back. Basically, it's shrugging him off. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And it's called UFC fatigue, where you don't want to see the same story. This was not like
Yeah,
a knockout one side and a knockout the next side. It's
yeah,
very close matches. I mean, um, so I don't think Max is gonna try to go. I mean, he wants to get rematch, obviously, to get his belt, but I don't think the UFC is gonna. They want the next best thing. And if we look down at that featherweight division, obviously Volkanovski is the champ, and then you have Max number 2, but then you have Zabit or Max number
mm,
tender, but then you have Zabit right after him,
yeah,
and then you have Ortega and the Korean Zombie there. The Korean Zombie and Ortega are on a collision course. They're gonna
yeah,
fight. I don't know if
yeah.
their fight has been announced. Right? Has it been announced?
Actually, that's a good question. I thought they had a date, but maybe it wasn't. Maybe we can look it up. See,
After his manager
Zombie.
beat up, or no, no,
No, yeah. You seen that? Like, he smacked him his man.
oh,
Like,
bro,
what is going on? It's like a reality TV show, bro.
that guy's sick, man, sick-minded, bro.
Yeah, this guy.
He's just been under a lot of pressure, man. He hasn't fought in such a long time. After
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
I
After
mean,
he
so
was Ortega's last fight.
I don't think it was Max. It was someone else. I'm not sure who it was though.
Okay.
But let
Did he fight Tony Ferguson?
Tony
And
Ferguson. Tony
why do
Ferguson,
I?
right?
No, it was Max. Never mind. That cut him
Yeah,
up. Yeah,
he was
that was Max.
got
Yeah,
destroyed. Max. Absolutely obliterated. So
yeah.
I'm thinking. My thinking is forget about the rankings. I know what the UFC is gonna do. The UFC is gonna the winner of Brian Ortega and the Korean Zombie. They're
Mhm.
gonna put that guy to title defense Zabit, unless Zabit does some amazing knockout in his next fight. I think it's scheduled too.
Yeah, because
So
Zabit. Yeah,
yeah,
like
that
Humam was saying it. Yeah, Zabit.
so
I mean, he was actually really good. Just like you said, his cardio is not that great. I think he
well,
did he face Calvin Cater? Was that Calvin Cater that he faced?
yeah,
Um,
that put his cardio into question. So
yeah,
that's we're gonna talk about this later, but that's the same thing that happened to Jorge Masvidal. I mean, even if Jorge Masvidal had a full camp, I still think his cardio wouldn't last up. Those final rounds because I feel like
yeah,
it's certain amount of person, especially if you start getting taken down. And Zabit is long, you know what I mean? Volkanovski is gonna want to take him down, you know what I mean?
Hmm. Hmm.
Volkanovski has that wide base, and that great stance, you know. And Zabit has never been challenged. I mean, has never been past those two championship rounds. So it's gonna be interesting unless he has a decision. Unless he has a decision, you know,
Hmm.
an amazing decision or some crazy
Like
leg hook or
knockout, crazy knockout or some submission that he did.
long legs.
Yeah.
Unless he has, Habib has been riding Masvidal. Okay, we'll talk about that. So that division is going to be beautiful. I can't wait to watch that division. Volkanovski is not a true champ to me. I don't think he deserves the championship. He's not flashy. He's uh, he's
Yeah, I
not
mean,
a
he's
partner.
just a killer, bro. He just does his thing.
He seems like he's forgettable. Have you remember before Forrest what is that guy? Forrest Griffin? Remember
Yeah,
him? Early UFC days? That
yeah,
guy
yeah,
middleweight championship or the lightweight
mhm,
championship, and then he couldn't defend it. He was a one hit wonder, you know?
yeah.
I think
And you
that's
have, and the thing is, it's tough, right? There's guys like that the UFC obviously, these guys they win their fights, right? So you can't like not give them the belt, but for promotional purposes, it's like if they're like quiet guys or they're not really like kind of controversial, right? It's like you're kind of stuck, right? And that's kind of the situation you have with somebody like this kind of segues into the main card now, right? Somebody like Usman,
somebody.
who is a
Mhm.
freaking beast and he's a really good fighter, but he's not marketable in the same way that some of these other guys are because these fans like the flashy knockouts and all these crazy things, right? So
So let's talk a little bit about Kamaru Usman and Jorge Masvidal. Kamaru Usman is a fantastic fighter. I
mhm.
think he has all facets to be one of the greatest competitors. And right now he's almost in that peer with that win share that he has with George St. Pierre.
George Separate, yep,
And
consecutive wins.
he beat some absolute killers in that division, right? Um, like he destroyed Tyron Woodley, who I think is the best welterweight of all time, right? With his title defenses. And he didn't just beat Tyron Woodley. He dominated Tyron Woodley.
Yeah, start to finish.
Obliterated
Yeah,
Tyron Woodley, and Tyron Woodley he couldn't he can't it's hard for him. I lost against Gilbert Burns. We'll talk about that division a little bit later, but um and then his fight with Colby Chaos Covington, which was absolutely one of the best fights of that year. But
oh yeah,
people
100%.
absolutely he showed people that he could have a stand-up game. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Because Kobe, with all his talk, with all his rhetoric, people forget how good of a fighter this guy is.
Oh yeah,
It's
100%.
not like when he destroyed Robbie Lawler, that was the turning point. Like you were like, whoa, you know, he had the UFC striking record.
Against Lawler, yeah, against the guy that's known to knock people out.
Yeah,
You know,
heavy handed
yeah,
Lawler, and he just threw him down like it was nothing, like a rag
yeah,
doll. Kamar Usman destroyed him. Kamar Usman prepared the whole training camp for Gilbert Burns, right? And then all of a sudden, I feel like his transition from Gilbert to Jorge Masvidal was bigger than Jorge to Kamaru Usman because Gilbert Burns is a different fighter, right?
yeah.
Fight for him. Jorge Masvidal is kind of he doesn't wrestle, but he has good
Hmm.
takedown defense.
Yeah,
Gilbert Burns, he's great in all aspects. You know what I mean? That
yeah.
was going to be
He's a
fight
well-rounded fighter. Yeah,
I really wanted to fight. I was pulling for Woodley on that fight against Gilbert Burns because Gilbert Burns fought relative no names, and then all of a sudden doing crazy. Um,
this guy.
so
Oh
he
my God.
deserves 100%
Do,
deserves
do,
the
do you
title.
think he beat Woodley worse than Kamaru beat Woodley?
No, 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 Kamaru
Okay.
dropped him like a rag doll.
Yeah.
Kamaru destroyed Tyron Woodley, but Gilbert Burns is so to turn around that in 6 days' notice, and then to fight someone that you've been talking crap to. It's emotionally draining, but it's a game plan. There's only a few strikers that's ever beaten a wrestler, but majority of the time wrestlers defeat defeat the strikers because it's a
Mm.
points game, right? Every time you get a
Yeah.
takedown, you get multiple points, right? And they can hold you
Yeah.
easily, so it's
Yeah.
not fair. An example is Habib Nurmagomedov, him fighting Dustin Poirier, him fighting um, him fighting um, him fighting Conor McGregor, him fighting all this done, Kevin Johnson,
Yeah. All you can
all
tell.
these
Yep.
guys. You see the you see the destruction he gives them because he's such a wrestler. Nobody can hold him.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it's just like, even Dana alluded to it in the post fight, saying that we knew what the strategy was going to come to. It was going to be a wrestling match.
Yeah. Yeah. Like the only smart move, actually, in the beginning of that fight, I think Kamaru was trying to stand with him a little bit, and he was kind of getting lit up a little bit. I mean, Kamaru does have that nice jab that even Masvidal talked about in the uh, post fight interview. He was like, "Yeah, I knew his jab was good, and it was pretty good." But in the beginning, he was kind of like piecing him up a little bit, and then Kamaru started just going back to his regular game, right? Get those jabs in, go for a takedown, push him to the fence, ground and pound. Kind of actually there was one point in there where it actually looked very Habib like, where he kind of was like leaning him against the fence and then kind of
And then
wrapped his leg around him. Yeah, doing all that. So it was, I mean, that's what you got to do, especially with these strikers that are dangerous, right? You really got to take them out of their zone and bring them into your own zone.
yeah, I feel like that he was just point fighting. He was a very boring fight. I felt like strategically it was smart. I mean, to win the fight, but going, but going he said that Khabib, what did he say? He said Khabib is different breed. Tony's a wrestler and so is Justin, but there's nothing like Khabib. Justin is a collegiate wrestler. Tony is also a collegiate wrestler, but not to the same pedigree as Justin Gaethje. But Tony Ferguson, I mean, his main game is not wrestling, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
Justin Gaethje, he was a wrestler. His foundation is a wrestler, but his main game was not wrestling. John Jones obviously he's a collegiate wrestler, but his main game is not wrestling. On the flip side, Ben Askren is a wrestler. Kamaru is a wrestler, and his main game is a wrestler. Daniel Cormier is a wrestler, and his main game is a wrestler, and so is Habib Nurmagomedov. Habib is
Mm-hmm.
not known as a striker, but he can certainly mix it up.
Yeah.
Kobe also is another wrestler. So these guys, Habib is another breed, but Habib is another breed, but he's still a wrestler. I mean, that's mostly what he would do. And just as a foreshadow, he's gonna destroy Justin,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely annihilate him. Okay. um,
Yeah. One interesting thing I'd like to see is because Justin keeps talking about his scrambling, and that's what he was known for, being able to scramble. So we'll see how much of that. Because I mean, I feel like even scrambling could get you tired, right? And once you're tired against Habib, it's game over.
yeah. Well, this is the thing with Habib is he just doesn't. You can scramble all you want, but he shoots all the time. He shoots all the
Yeah.
time. You probably shoot in a round maybe 10 to 15 times. You know what I
You
mean?
keep going.
This is the thing with this is the thing with Habib is he's not just a guy that shoots you scramble. You shoot you scramble, That's why
Mm,
Tony Ferguson fight would have been a little bit interesting because of the elbows.
yeah.
Habib when he fights, he puts his head up, so
Yeah.
I'm afraid he might get caught. Um, so let's talk a little bit about that main card. I mean, that main card, I felt like it was very, very, very boring. Very boring. He did enough. He did enough to win.
Yeah.
Let's let's look down that welterweight division and see what we got underneath, because this is my favorite division in the
Hmm.
UFC. This is my personal favorite division in the UFC. So let's dive into it. What do you think about a potential fight for Kamaru, either Gilbert Burns or Leon Edwards? What do you think about that?
Yeah, there was like so depending on obviously who won this fight, there would have been two very different paths, right?
Yeah.
Obviously with Kamaru winning, it kind of sticks to the more traditional. All right, who's the next man in the rankings? Kind of the guy that deserves it, blah blah. And obviously Gilbert was supposed to fight until obviously the Corona situation happened. So I think he gets the next shot. I think Leon Edwards. They're probably gonna match him up with. So Till has a fight already. Um,
Still is middleweight.
yeah, sorry, I'm thinking middleweight.
You're talking
What's the
about
guy?
he's either
What's
gonna
the guy's
match up
name?
Kobe, or he's gonna match up with Woodley.
Yeah,
But there's an up and coming fighter in that middleweight, in that welterweight division. I mean, you got Wonder Boy, Damian Maya, who retired. Maybe maybe Jeff Neal. Yeah, Jeff Neal. I mean, he's an up and comer, right?
yeah. I wonder because Leon Edwards is kind of stuck, right? Like, he's beaten a bunch of really good guys. The problem is that this guy's, is a very low key guy. Um, and
He
he's,
can't sell
obviously
fights.
in the
Thing.
UK. He's in the UK, right? And in the UK, there's not really. I mean, the scene isn't. It's decent, but it's not like other markets, right? So
I I will challenge you in that, because we have Darren Till in the UFC.
yeah, no, yeah, it's coming up for sure
Bisping,
now. Obviously,
got
with
Bisping.
originally Bisping was kind of the shining king of that area, but
Leon
um,
Edwards is just a snooze fest. I just feel like, I mean, nobody nobody knows him. First of all, everybody calls him
yeah,
God.
Leon's
Uh, he
yeah,
he's a really
Leon's
good
got
fighter. Uh, People underestimate he's a good fighter, but I don't think he'll put butts in the seat.
yeah,
Uh,
no, definitely. I mean, not like honestly, when you look down that division, I mean, the only guy that's really like very very marketable, obviously is Jorge Masvidal. And I mean, if he had won, um, this would have been completely different shift.
Imagine a Jorge Masvidal versus Colby Covington fight. Imagine how beautiful that would be.
That would sell like crazy.
I'm telling you that. I still think Colby Covington will win that fight, because he's a far superior wrestler. He'll do the same thing as Kamaru, exact same thing.
True. My
Um,
only concern is so that thing where they say that wrestlers who fall in love with their hands,
oh,
where like yeah they're wrestlers but because they love to fight and strike, they kind of
yeah, for me and Stipe Miocic too.
yeah. So it's like I think Colby could be one of those guys where he kind of just you know
I don't think he wants this journeyman George.
yeah,
I don't think you want to do that against journeyman George. Um,
Journeyman George.
yeah, I feel like Jorge Masvidal has knockout power, as we saw Ben Askren. To be honest with you, if they ran it back, if Jorge went against Ben Askren again and they ran it back,
Yeah,
honestly, Ben Askren would win. Honestly,
you think so,
I think I 100
bro?
that
Ben Askren's striking is so bad.
it's
It's
not
so
bad.
bad.
It's horrendous.
What's it's like when he was his last fight, before he retired with Damian Maya, like Damian Maya has evolved into a better striker over the years, but he's still not the greatest, right? I mean, he's known for his
Not
submissions and his
at all.
ground
Yeah,
game. And bro, he made Damian Maya look good in there.
he made Da- he made Damian Maya look like
Look like a crisp striker.
he made Damian
Oh,
out there. But I still, you know, I feel like he beat Robbie Lawler. I mean, what are you saying no for? I mean,
I don't know, Robbie Lawler, bro. Even that was a controversial one, bro.
that
Robbie
Bulldog.
Lawler was blowing him up before. he got that submission in
Wow.
there.
I feel
So it's tough,
like,
man. I
you
would
know,
have liked to see kind of his career extend, but I don't know.
yeah, I feel like that was, that was a good fight. Can we? I just want to talk about one more topic. I just want to talk about um, what's going on, what's going on in that lightweight division, and particularly with Hooker and Dustin Poirier. That
Hmm.
fight that they had, that amazing fight of the year performance that they had. Dustin Poirier, you it's a guy that you love to see win. You love to see this man win,
Yeah,
but I don't think I don't think he can capture the title, you know what I mean?
yeah, like the
I can't
undisputed title.
keep it was just an onslaught, you know? Said will baptize him. Uh,
Yeah. I feel like as long as Habib is healthy and obviously we don't know what's gonna happen now after him Allah yarham, his dad passing away, right? Maybe that might change things. Maybe he retires early. Maybe there could be a lot of speculation on what happens after that. But given that things proceed as normal, as long as Habib is in charge of that division, I don't think any of these guys.
who do you see? Like who do you see there? There's Justin Gaethje, Poirier, Ferguson Connor, Hooker, uh, and other than that, I mean, it's Kevin Lee, Ida Quinta. I mean, these guys.
One
The
guy that I think is going to be very dangerous that is slowly creeping up is the Charles Oliveira guy. This
Oliveira.
this
You
guy's jiu-jitsu game, bro, is actually crazy. And he's
think
he, and he's a really good striker. I forgot his last win was really good.
so?
Um,
So the problem with that lightweight division is it's top heavy, right? So
yeah,
the top guys are very strong guys. It's like fighting a boss, you know.
yeah,
Each
literally,
harder, harder, you know.
yeah,
So
literally,
there's Connor there, who's a great fighter in his own, better
yeah,
promoter, but great fighter. And then you have Poirier, and then you have Gaethje, and then you have Tony. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And then you have
The
Habib.
rest, basically,
Like
yeah,
you know what I mean? Anybody underneath there has to go against those murderous row, you know? So
crazy. Yeah.
um
Charles Oliveira's last win was he submitted Kevin Lee. So, um,
oh, that controversial? Yeah, Kevin Lee should never fight again.
bro, this guy is such a scrub, bro.
Dude, this
This
guy
guy
had
is such
up
a scrub.
before Charles, he had one knockout, like that leg kick knockout, and he
Yeah,
thought he was the greatest fighter of all time. The way
little bro. This.
he went him in
uh,
the podcast. He went on the Ariel Money show. He went on ESPN saying, "Man, I want everybody, man. I want Habib. I want, I want all these guys. I want George St. Pierre if he comes out of retirement. You
yeah,
know, I want Anderson. So, man, bro, you had one good knockout. Chill out." And then, and then they dusted out. He said, Dustin's a cool dude and very talented, but he's not a title holder. Well, I disagree. He's not a lightweight title holder contender. I mean, that's the only thing, lightweight, because that lightweight is very top heavy, right?
yeah.
I think if he would shift maybe down to featherweight or I don't know, welterweight, still those guys are massive, you know. Um, I just don't think he could do it in lightweight. That's what I think. Maybe he should go down to.
As long as Habib is there, he can't. But I think if Habib's out of the picture, it's kind of up for grabs. Like Tony can be Dustin, Dustin can be Tony, Dustin can be Gaethje. Especially a lot of those striker
That's
guys, it kind
that's
of opens up. If about Habib with Habib being there, it's going to be tough for any of these other guys.
yeah.
Um,
Dustin did beat Gaethje, but I feel like
yeah,
do you know the fight that Dustin fought before fighting for the belt? He fought the featherweight champion
mm,
Max Holloway, and he beat Max Holloway convincingly. So I feel like maybe go down to that flyweight and featherweight. I mean, go down to that featherweight and go against the Volkanovski or any of those title contenders. I mean, you could.
Yeah,
He's big. He's big. I think he
yeah,
could.
he'll be a huge featherweight. Yeah,
Even Masvidal when he was fighting for one and some Bellator and some Asian promotions, he was lightweight. He was fighting at lightweight. He was never fighting at welterweight. He just moved up to welterweight when he got to the UFC.
yeah.
So,
A lot of these guys, the lightweight, welterweight guys, they move kind of in between. Like you have guys like Pettis, Cerrone, all these guys
oh
who
yeah, yeah,
kind
Pettis
who've
up and
moved
down,
up and down. Yeah,
moves up and down.
looks like
So
the older they get, that they try to stick to a bigger weight class just because it's easier on the body.
let's talk about the last topic of the day, which is what's next. What's next for Conor McGregor?
Conor McGregor.
The
I don't
mo-
know.
money
This guy,
maker of MMA.
this guy's on his own time schedule, right? Like I feel like if Jorge Masvidal had won this fight,
Mhm.
Conor's ears would have been like, so how much we talking? And I think also depending on how the lightweight title fight goes, he could potentially kind of be like, if Gaethje gets in there, and I think he probably thinks he's a better matchup for Gaethje, he might um, be like, all right, let me step in.
Well,
And
Gaethje, well, Gaethje, well, he said he will never fight Tony. Chill out. He will never fight that. That's a career ending fight. He doesn't want to do that.
yeah,
Um, for me is even Justin Gaethje. Justin Gaethje does not make a lot of money. The top money makers in the UFC are Conor and Habib Nurmagomedov. Even with that being said, John Jones is probably the most talented UFC fighter ever, and he's not making as much as these two juggernauts, right?
yeah,
So, um, topic of discussion. Right now, we're talking about Conor, but we're talking about the UFC 251 fights. Before, and we just ended with that Masvidal and Jorge. So right now we're just talking about what's next for Conor McGregor in that lightweight division. Right now, I think Habib's gonna take a short hiatus,
yeah.
fight Gaethje. Um, so Conor, I don't think he's gonna stick around. I feel like he should take maybe go down to featherweight, fight Volkanovski. I don't know. And
Yeah, I don't. He actually might. I
you're not,
think he might like himself at welterweight if he comes back.
he can't fight again. He can't.
Not
Kamaru,
against Kamaru, yeah. Maybe not against Kamaru, but yeah, if
Kamaru.
Jorge or gets it, if he fights him again and gets it, then he might think about it.
So Connor is gonna go for a title fight. If not, he's gonna go for a big name. So there's, I feel like, with Connor, maybe he might go Nate Diaz. Never know, right? Um,
Maybe, yeah,
but I feel like with him, it's just a toss up. There's a lot of bad matchups for him. A lot of bad matchups for him. I he can wait for the winner of Justin and Habib, which is most likely going to be Habib. And you want to get embarrassed again? It doesn't make any sense to me. Even though
yeah,
Dana White is saying Habib Connor, how like the guy loves money, so he's like,
hey, it's
darn,
good money, man. Especially, I even think especially the second if they do a second time, it's gonna be even more money than the
oh
first
my,
time.
oh, these guys
It's gonna be actually insane. It's gonna be crazy.
hate each other.
But now I wonder, like now that obviously his dad's passed away and stuff like that, if some of that stuff will be more subdued. Like talking about religion and family and stuff.
Well, he learned his lesson, so your boy Dylan Dan is gonna learn his lesson. The guy begging fights, begging.
Guy's fucking scrub too, man.
He says
He's
he's
a
getting
good,
cutting
he's a
down.
good, he's a jiu-jitsu guy, but I don't know about MMA.
Honor versus Nate. I don't know. Nate feels I don't know if I want
He'll
to watch.
he'll he'll come back for that. I mean, it'll be a fan's fight because they'll just be standing the whole time. But
I'd rather watch Masvidal and Nate, to be honest with you, because those guys are much more of a fight. I feel like Nate could have won both those fights against Connor. He won the first one. Second one he
yeah,
won. Connor won by decision. I don't
yeah.
know. That was a weird decision, but I mean that seems like a good fight. But I don't know. I don't see him fighting anytime soon. Dylan.
He said Dennis got wrecked by Gordon Ryan. Oh, that's why Gordon Ryan is the GOAT right now, right? One of the best.
Dylan Dennis challenges everybody to a wrestling match. Like the
Yeah.
couch. I don't even know why Connor hangs out with that guy. I mean, he's a jiu-jitsu guy, but
The guy looks like a tool, bro. Like he looks so lame.
boy, punk rock boys,
Uh,
they
what's
do
that?
it times, you know. Um,
Yeah.
he does those submission hunts and he does that whatever those wrestling matches, but guy's just he's a weasel. He looks like a weasel to me, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's I think that's a wrap for our first live show, our first UFC live show. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We're gonna come up with content more and more,
Mm.
inshallah. We also have a YouTube channel that we want to start building content and have specific um, UFC topics. We want to make sure we include the hardcore fanatic fans and also the casual layman fans. They just want
Yeah.
to talk about big fights and also talk about people that know who got wrecked by Dylan Dennis or who wrecked Dylan Dennis. You know, these hardcore fans here. But yeah, no, that's how we do.
Yeah. No, I think appreciate whoever's watching. Thank you guys. Like Upshur said, we're gonna do more of this hopefully. Our show is called the Double A MMA Show. So you can find us on all socials at Double A MMA. So check us out there. I think
Also,
Humam said we should do a fight companion, which I agree. That would be nice. Kind of watch the fight and do live reactions.
oh, that's pretty good.
Get some guys together. Yeah, so it's a good idea. Yeah, so we hope to have content like that for sure.
Also, if you guys are watching, make sure you guys share the streams. Get it out to more hardcore fight fans. Um, this analysis is, we'll try to get better at our analysis, especially with UFC 252 Daniel and Stipe 3.
Hmm.
Um, can't wait for that fight.
It's gonna be good.
It's gonna be good. All right, guys. Take it easy. Have a good night. Inshallah, more to come.
All right. Peace.
Assalamu alaikum.
Okay.